Roll Tide, everybody. It is great to have Angry Saban back. Alabama took the buses from Tuscaloosa to Starkville. They stopped in Gordo. They found Angry Saban, and he's back on the sideline again, and it is great to see Angry Saban back. Alabama 40-17 as they wrap up their win against Mississippi State. He's Chad Anderson, longtime OG of mine and Alabama grad and a guy that spent a lot of time doing media. And I'm Mick Gillispie. So got a little help on the show as you guys come and hang out. And we'll take your calls and talk about Alabama football here. Late night, though, Chad, late night. But
Yeah.
Angry Saban likes late nights. That's what it took to get him out from wherever he was hiding.
Yeah, this is a fun kind of a game. When you're in college, you go to the game, you hit the strip. Like, this is perfect. It all just flows together. For us old people, Mick, this is not as much fun as it used to be. But you're right. I saw on Twitter, message boards, online, just kind of everywhere, people, what you just said. Where's angry Nick? Why is he smiling so much? Why is he apologizing to the media? Why is he laughing? Why is he just like in such a good mood all the time when this is how we look as a team? And yeah, angry Saban was reincarnated tonight over in Starkville because he was flat out pissed early on in tonight's matchup.
Yeah. Another issue at the snap. This time the snap hit Jalen Milroe in the chest, but he wasn't looking for it. And who knows what really caused that issue, because I didn't see Saban going after the center, but you just don't know. But I mean, it could have been Seth McLaughlin again. Who knows? But at the end of the day, Angry Saban was getting on the offense and the defense. And that tells me that he feels like this team has a shot. I think with him doing that, I think that he's kind of saying, you know what? I'm not as worried about this team as I was. And now I'm going to start forcing these guys to really pay attention to the small stuff, the big stuff, to get it right, because the schedule's about to get really tough.
Yeah, you could read his lips to Terrion Arnold in that first quarter. While he's popping his vein, he's screaming at him 10 yards out onto the field saying, "How many times have I told you?" And then his back turns as he ushers him to the sideline. But you could see just how frustrated he was getting with all the mental lapses and mistakes. And rightfully so. I mean, Alabama fans were getting frustrated with all the little ticky-tack screw ups and turnovers and penalties and lack of discipline and lack of emotion. And I think Saban was looking at it going, dear God, guys, this is game 5. And like you said, Mick, guess what tomorrow is? It's October.
Yeah.
And you get into October, and all of a sudden, especially for Alabama, the schedule over the next 3 weeks becomes pretty brutal. Arkansas is the sandwich game. They didn't look like much of a threat against A&M today. But next week on the road against A&M, and then you're going to come back and host Tennessee 2 weeks later before you get your bye week. That's tough. And so Saban knows that, penalties are what killed him in the Tennessee game last year. Milroe's turnovers are what almost allowed A&M to upset Alabama last year in Tuscaloosa. So you could tell this was a night where he said, it's over, guys, clean it up because October's here.
Yeah, look, I'm with you on that. And back-to-back victories, though, for Alabama over the Magnolia State schools, convincing fashion, 40-17. I never really felt like Mississippi State was in this game. A couple of notes that I had. First off, Jalen Milroe, throw it away. Like if there's not a play there, throw it away. And it's not like he was really throwing the ball a lot. I mean, he only made 12 attempts and 10 of 12, 164 yards. With no touchdowns, no interceptions. With this defense, I'm fine with that. But don't try to force it. Don't take all these sacks. Just throw it away if it's not there. Get rid of the football, right? That was something that Bryce Young was really, really good at. And I think that Milroe's going to have to get better at that. But he is just so capable of big plays. Like, he did it to get Alabama's first touchdown with his legs. He's always a threat to throw the deep ball. The mid passes are a struggle for him from time to time. But the guy just has this ability to get into the end zone. And I think that's something that is, special. I mean, he scored 2 touchdowns on the ground today, 11 of 60, 11 carries, 69 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So he accounts for a lot of offense.
He was the leading rusher. I mean, it shows right there on the screen. He was the leading rusher for Alabama today. Now they spread it around a little bit, but yeah, Jalen did a terrific job. I will say this from the beginning of the season, what I do like, or some of the things that I've seen that have gotten better, is he does give an extra second or an extra beat in the pocket. I felt like early on in the year, he was that guy that was instantly looking to run. Okay, first option isn't there. How can I take off and use my legs to win the game? So he's at least giving the pocket a little bit more time. He is moving around a little bit better. He seems to be a little more confident. He wouldn't necessarily immediately take off if he got out of the pocket. He would kind of scramble out and still look downfield, keep his eyes downfield. He hit Niblack a couple of times doing that. But still, like you said, I don't understand why he or any quarterback, when you're out of the pocket, when you're headed to the sideline, why are you taking a 4-yard loss?
Yeah.
You're already out of the pocket. You're by the sideline. Just flick it into the stands and save yourself. I mean, the extra 4 yards. And that's maybe a maturity and an experience thing, but still little things, but they've got to be cleaned up.
Yeah, well, that's what they've got to be talking to him at practice every week. Like, this isn't the type of offense that you're normally like looking at as far as what we see around college football these days. Alabama's kind of taking a step back, and it actually may help them. Look at the Ravens in the NFL. They run a very simplistic offense with a lot of tight ends and a quarterback that is super athletic and can score with his legs and can throw a good deep ball. I think Milroe in some ways is even better. But at the same time, you got to be smart and throw the football away, not put yourself in those situations. I got to tell you, though, I think Tommy Rees is doing a good job of being creative with this offense. I like the 2 and the 3 tight ends. I like the fact that Alabama is smashing. They smashed Mississippi State in the mouth in this football game. They ran at them all game long. I mean, yeah, Milroe had the big run, but it was McClellan for 15 carries, 63 yards, straight ahead a lot. Roydell Williams, 10 carries, 44 yards. You mentioned that we got to see Justice Haynes at the end of the game right before we went on the air. But yeah. The holes were there. And honestly, I thought that McClellan did a good job of kind of waiting on the blocks today and finding those creases. But this is an Alabama-style offense that kind of takes a step back to the Gene Stallings days or maybe the beginning of the Nick Saban era. I'm a little concerned that against a team like Georgia or Auburn, maybe just because it's Auburn, that they'll take that run away and then we'll be in big trouble. But 40-17, I know there were a lot of things that the team needs to do better. But at the same time, I mean, it really was, to me, dominant just because I never thought that they had a chance to win. I mean, I just thought that at the beginning of the game, the announcer kept saying Alabama was rattled. The same rattled word was used in that Georgia-Auburn game today. Shut up. Alabama was never rattled. It was just like they're just getting on track. Like, rattled is a lot different than what I just saw there. I've seen them rattled a few times in the Iron Bowl. But the announcer, they're not rattled. They're just they've been snapping the ball bad all year long, and they've been trying to figure out how to do that. They've been trying to figure out how to block all year long, right? It's not rattled. It's just getting into a comfort zone. And look, Adam says this. And I'm going to open the phone lines for you guys in a second. Let us kind of get through our thoughts, and then I'm going to hear what you guys think. But he said, hey, the O-line was much better. I agree with that. The defense is good, but not elite. I think the defense has a chance to be elite, but it's not quite there yet. But they pressured the quarterback, Chad. They're good in the secondary. Mississippi State did find some running room straight ahead and all that. But look, Adam, the thing that you got to remember that we didn't do all last year, and if we would have done it last year, we might have won the national championship. We did it in this football game, and I'm going to drink to that. Chad, I know you're here just to make sure I stay sober for the post-game show. We got turnovers in this damn game. Roll Tide, baby. How about the interceptions? The turnover game is what we were missing all last year, and we got it. And it's something that we're seeing every single game now, Chad. Roll Tide to that.
So I would definitely roll Tide to that. I want to say I'm still out on Tommy Rees. And I don't mean out. I mean more jury's out. Like, I still want to see this evolve. Now, Tommy Rees was also handed a little bit of an empty cupboard. Yeah, he didn't have Bryce Young. He's working with Jalen Milroe. No offense to Jalen. Maybe he evolves and becomes really, really good by the end of the year. But let's face it, he's not Tua, Mac, or Bryce, who were the previous three quarterbacks. So I still want to see what Tommy Rees is able to do. But the one apology I think we all owe is Kevin Steele. Yeah. Because I think that a lot of people were so prepared for Jeremy Pruitt to take over, and that just never panned out in the offseason, and now he's a PE teacher. And so I think that was kind of where everybody's mind and heart went. And when that didn't happen, I don't necessarily know that it's Kevin Steele's fault. I just think he's catching some of the bad rap because people were so excited about the possibility of bringing Pruitt back. But let me tell you this, Mick. Last week, if you remember the fourth down play with Ole Miss in the fourth quarter, when Jackson Dart had it, I want to say around fourth and about 15 or 16 yards to go. And Kevin Steele went cover zero, double safety blitz, straight up the A gap and put the pressure on Dart and made him throw that ball away. I think he was even hit as he threw, and it just kind of fluttered. And then tonight, he's bringing heat. He's bringing blitzes. Yeah. Meanwhile, 2 hours north of Starkville, Pete Golding is giving up 49 points to LSU. Like, to me, the defense deserves so much credit, even though some pieces are maybe still a little bit of a work in progress. Yes, maybe they ran the ball at times, moved the ball at times. But the defense and that mentality and the way they get after the ball and get after the quarterback and their hits and their tackles on defense seem to be more violent this year. Like, they're angry. Yeah, they're angry. Do.
And it looks like Alabama again,
it's a different scheme. Yeah, it's a different scheme. Yeah. And so there needs to be a lot of praise to that defense. And I know Texas kind of had them on skates here and there during the game. Texas is damn good, man. They are actually like legit back, it appears, and we'll find out next week when they play Oklahoma. But I'm pretty happy and excited about this defense going forward.
Yeah, look, that's what I wrote up there. They look nasty at times, right?
They do. They look angry.
They're still figuring it out. But I'm watching them going in and out of different like coverages before the snap to confuse the quarterback. I mean, where was that last year?
That's what I mean. It's a different scheme. It's a different mentality. It's a different everything. And that's what I meant. That specific play last week. I made a joke with my buddy off the record-ish the other day about that. But I'll just go ahead and share it. I said, look,
it's not off the record anymore.
Yeah. So when it was 4th and 16 and we went double safety blitz straight up the middle instead of this rush 3 drop 8 prevent, like most coaches do. When Kevin Steele went double safety blitz right up the middle and put pressure on him, I had to excuse myself from the room. Like, that was just one of those things where that was better than Playboy. I mean, I just can't lie. Like, that was – there were so many good things about that blitz. I can't even describe
That's your new
how
nickname,
great that was.
Playboy.
Yeah,
Playboy Anderson.
That's it, yeah.
All right, here's a last comment I'm going to throw up before we go to the phone lines. But King Bear, you're on the money. I put in there. It was nice to see. I just made notes during the game. Right, it was nice to see Malik Benson touching the football. And you're right. We are in trouble if we're not getting the receivers the football. Right, if we're not getting the ball to the guys who can catch and make something happen with it, then this team is going to run into a spot, like we saw when Jalen Hurts was with Alabama, and he was kind of struggling getting the ball to the receivers. where you worry about. So I'm going to put it back on the screen, but not a lot of guys. I mean, look, you only threw, what would we say, 10 completions and 12 passes. So
yeah, he had the McElroy national title game.
Right. And I saw somebody else made that comment, and they're exactly right. So Jay Barker didn't throw a lot either. I used to do a show with Jay. I love Jay. He'd always bring that up too. All right. So here's our receivers, right? Nye Black caught 3, which I loved watching him catch the ball and truck dudes, right? Malik Benson, 1 catch. CJ Dupree had a catch. Chase McClellan out of the backfield with 2. Isaiah Bond 1. Kendrick Law 1. Ja'Cory Brooks 1. They tried to get some other balls out there. He overthrew Jalen Hale on a deep ball, and that was because that guy dove over the line. But until he masters the offense, and if Alabama's having success running the football, I think we're going to see a lot of we're going to see this for right now. I mean, that's just kind of my feel, but hopefully what I'm thinking is as he progresses, as a quarterback and he gets more comfortable in there, maybe they start kind of opening the playbook. But right now, if you can win a football game 40-17 with 10 passes, then why throw the ball more than 10 times?
Yeah, and the defense only scored 1 touchdown. They did set up another touchdown right before halftime, right. But still, you're right. I mean, how often do you see 40 points scored if you're not one of the military academies and, with only 12 passes thrown?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, Air Force did put up 49 today against San Diego. But yeah, no, it's also one of those deals where nobody's really broken out as a receiver. Nobody's become that guy. It's probably a combination of Milroe maybe not working through progressions just yet the way he should be.
Right.
Maybe one of these receivers aren't capable of just becoming the guy yet or don't have the confidence to do it. A lot of people thought Isaiah Bond would be him, and we just haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
But the guys who are out there making plays, there's not a guy who you throw the ball to or that's on the field and you're like, Jesus, why is this guy on the field? Like nobody's that bad. Nobody's that great. They're just all serviceable receivers at the moment.
We don't really know though, because we haven't had anyone like I would have loved to have seen Bryce Young with these guys because they really have done a nice job of catching the ball, but we haven't thrown it much. All right, Chad, let's go to the phone lines. We're talking Alabama and Mississippi State, kind of recapping the game, 40-17. If you guys are hanging out, give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber to the Bama Tailgate channel, then you need to do that. I want you to be part of what we're doing here. And comment. That's what we're doing, talking about the game. All right, who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, Mick, it's Adam calling from Georgia. How are you?
Hey, roll tide, Adam. How you doing, man?
All right, I'm doing good. Thanks for taking my call. I just had a really brief comment. I thought tonight our defense looked really, really good, and they can be elite. Our D-line got pushed, and I thought they were good. I thought our O-line was really much, much better, and I thought our running game was very good. But I'm going to say this for the last time. I do not like Milroe. I just think he's average. He stares down a receiver. He makes it impossible for Reese to call an effective game. And my question for you is, number one, what about Dylan Lonergan? And also, quite frankly, why did Bryce go to the NFL early when he's making all this NIL money? If we had Bryce this year, we would win the national championship.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Adam, and I want to introduce you to Chad. He's on the show tonight too. I get it why you're frustrated with Milroe because, you've seen all these NFL guys, kind of like we talked last week in the comment section. I know everybody's going to be like, well, you just see that it's really tough for him to do certain things. And he's, I think, the best quarterback we got. So we just got to kind of work with him as he gets better. But you got to give the guy credit. I mean, he's so explosive with his legs and he's explosive with the deep balls that as long as he's not making mistakes, I just feel like this defense is so good that you just don't want him to lose the game. Like McElroy, you just didn't want McElroy to lose the game for you. And I kind of feel like that's where we're at right now. Blake Sims was kind of the same way. He's better than Blake Sims. And Alabama won an SEC championship with Blake Sims. I thought he was, of all the quarterbacks Alabama had in the Nick Saban era, by far the worst one. But they still won the SEC because Blake was a really good football player. He just wasn't a great quarterback in my mind. Like he had his limitations, but when it came to football and kind of being smart with the ball and everything, he was able to overcome the things that he couldn't do by just playing smart football. And to me, Adam, I think that's what we got to have. He's got to continue to just not make mistakes and not put this defense and the team in a spot where they got to come from behind by a lot of points, because then we'd be up the creek.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And look, I mean, I really like Milroe as a person. I think he's a great athlete, and so I'm not trying to like speak bad of him. I don't know, man. I miss Bryce. I miss Tua.
Yeah, well,
and I just
all
feel
of us do.
I feel like I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get past A&M or LSU, but I'm going to remain hopeful, man. So roll Tide, and good win tonight, and talk to you next week.
Hey, thanks, Adam. Roll Tide to you too. All right, let's go right back to the phone lines again and keep talking about this game. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, guys, it's Iceman.
Iceman, what is going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just got off work and enjoyed the game. I actually feel really optimistic about this because I was the one that put in the comments that this reminded me of McElroy. And I'll be honest, like this looked a lot like the joyless murder ball that we were promised, because that's what they used to do. They sucked the lights out of the stadium. They put up really boring offensive stats, and they just won the turnover battle. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah. Look, Chad, you heard him.
Yeah.
That did feel like joyous murder ball a little bit tonight. Iceman, I love seeing him go. I love seeing him leave early. It was great.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I'll touch a little bit on the losers. I will say that Mississippi State, I think that they kind of lack an identity. And I don't want to have to, rehash, some wounds, but they lost Coach Leach, and that you can't just rebound from that.
I know.
And I think that's a lot of the issues that they have. But, I mean, that's still a good team that we had to go out there and beat. And I think that when we won the turnover battle tonight, that was something that we haven't done since Pete Golding.
Yeah, well, this is why it feels different. I mean, we're actually getting turnovers now, and they're big. They're setting up touchdowns and points.
Yeah, and I was in the comments, and someone said, take over those non-offensive touchdowns. What do you got? And I said, well, you do that when we did the rematch against Johnny Manziel, and we lose that rematch.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I like to see. I like to see pick sixes. I like to see forced turnovers and put our anemic offense in situations where they can score.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm really optimistic. I'm probably going to get to bed soon after this. I'm going to show up in the mornings.
I'm sober, which is crazy, right? I mean, think about that. You were working, man. I've been watching football all day, drinking cold beer.
Yeah, I just cracked open Yingling Light, not Flight, but Light, number 2. So I'm going to enjoy it, and then I'm going to head to bed after this. But yeah, I think I think this is a good win for us. I'm not too worried about Texas A&M because I don't know. I don't think that they're really going to put up the offensive numbers they put up today. Same thing with LSU. There's no telling. I mean, mobile quarterbacks have been our troubles, but I think Jackson Dart might be the most talented quarterback we're going to face all season so far. Like, most talented. Probably not the best, but the most talented.
Right.
And I think he's a little bit more talented than what LSU has. And I think we can win that. but it's just up to them. We'll see. Only the players will make that decision. So,
yeah.
Anyways, I'll let the other callers call in.
Thanks,
you
brother.
have a good night and roll tide.
Roll Tide. Thanks, Iceman, calling from down in Florida. Let's go right back to the phone lines again. Hanging with Chad Anderson. I'm Mick Gillispie on the Bama Tailgate postgame show as Alabama enjoyed a pretty big victory. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Brett calling from Walker County, Alabama.
There he is. Brett Elmore. And meet Chad Anderson, Brett, and Roll Tide, brother.
Roll Tide, Brett.
Nice to meet you, Chad. Roll Tide, everybody. I don't know really what to say after this win. Last week, we talked about the second half. We finally saw the Crimson Tide football team show up. And then tonight, I think we saw Nick Saban show up.
We picked him up in Gordo.
He was on fire tonight, and I was like, give him hell. Yeah. I mean, it's like, here he is. The guy's back. Did Miss Terry give him some sort of magic key back or what?
No,
but
they found him in Gordo.
It's like
angry Saban.
Yeah. Give me the angry Nick Saban.
He was in Fayette. He was hitchhiking in Fayette. Angry Saban, and they picked him up on the team bus.
Right? Yeah. Give me the angry Saban, and it's like the band's gotten back together. We've won big, and you take that 90-minute bus ride from Tuscaloosa to Starkville, and they arrived on a mission, and everything, the world is spinning the way it should be,
Yeah, I feel that way. Chad, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going back. You talk about murder ball. I was looking at some of these previous games talking about the band getting back together. So
I can't hear Chad.
You can't hear Chad?
Yeah, we ran into that before.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick. I'll let you finish up.
Yeah. Finish up, Brett, and then he'll respond when you get off. I don't know all the technical stuff here, but man, he was just talking about having the band back together. I really feel like when even Saban at halftime made a joke about angry Saban being back, which I thought was great.
Yeah, when I and I think I texted you. I said, "This guy's pissed off again."
Yeah.
What's happened? Everything's good. I really like the way the team has progressed. It seems like we're getting better every week. I can't find anything to really complain about. I really like the effort today, and we'll continue to fight another day. But I tell you, I'm just happy with the victory, and in fine fashion on the road. Hostile environment. The cowbells are really annoying, but they were able to pull it off. And like I say, we live another day. And I tell you, the number one spot in the land may not be with Georgia, shifting gears a little bit after that struggle win against Auburn. I would not be surprised if Georgia drops to maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah. Look, I saw the same thing with them in that Auburn game. We know Auburn's not that good, but Georgia struggled, and their offense is about as I guess as predictable as Alabama's offense. I mean, really, you think about it, we're going to run the ball. They're just going to try to throw the ball to their tight end every time, and if you cover that guy, which Auburn couldn't do, and a lot of teams haven't been able to do, maybe they lose, but this could be the year where the SEC doesn't have a team in the college football playoff, which is crazy to think about, because that Georgia team with that weak-ass schedule, they're still going to probably lose some games.
Yeah, it's a weak schedule, and then if they want to punish Alabama for a struggle loss, which they have in the past, you need to look at Georgia, and there may be another number one in the country when it comes poll time here tomorrow or Monday, whenever it comes out.
Well, man, great thoughts. Anything else you want to add on here before I let you go back and do your thing the rest of the night?
That's it, man. Just roll tide. I'm just real happy with the win. Like I say, not much to talk about, really.
Yeah, well, we'll be talking to you really soon because next week's A&M, and that game's become one of the biggest games on the schedule. But roll tide, Brett. Thank you for calling in, and tell and
Roll tide.
pick up a round for everyone at the Pie Factory for me.
All right.
See you, brother.
I'll do it, buddy.
All right, take care. That's Brett calling in from Jasper. Great guy, great broadcaster, and some good comments. And Chad, I mean, you chew on kind of what he had to say, what our callers had to say, and what your thoughts are right now.
Well, I was going back and looking at some of these similar scenarios or situations from the past. Talk about joyless murder ball. So you remember the 2011 Penn State game on the road in Happy Valley, and AJ McCarron was going up against Phil Simms for the starting quarterback position, and they gave it to AJ. And if you look at those, I was just kind of comparing some box scores and going side by side here. And Alabama won that game 27-11, and they did it with only 163 yards of passing. But Alabama led that game 27-3. Penn State scored a touchdown late and got a 2-point conversion to bring it to 27-11. Alabama's passing today was 164 yards. Alabama's rushing today was 193. That day in Happy Valley, it was 196. So Alabama had almost identical stats throwing and running that day. But you remember how elite the defense was, how good the running game was, how good Alabama was between the tackles. So I understand what people are saying about Milroe. I really do. But we've been so, I can't reiterate it enough. Damn, we've been so spoiled. So spoiled. And the reason I picked this Penn State game is, let's face it, we didn't know what AJ McCarron was in early September of 2011.
Yeah,
we had no idea what we had with AJ McCarron. In 163 passing yards, that's not a lot of confidence from the offense and Nick Saban. What was it? Nussmeier or McElwain? I think Nussmeier that year was the offensive coordinator. I think McElwain had already come and gone and made his way.
It's hard to tell because every year we got a different guy, it seems like, or at least every other year.
It does feel that way.
No, but you
see the
man.
point. Like, that's the style. And I think 12 years ago, everybody loved the style. And guess what? That style still wins today because Georgia just won 2 titles in a row with that style.
Yeah, right. And that's what I was going to say. You're exactly right. That's what matters.
And this style, that's what Nick wants to get back to.
They won 2 championships with a 2-star quarterback.
Nick Saban felt forced to change his style of football and deviate from what he likes to do. That's why Lane Kiffin was hired. That's why Brian Dable came in. That's why Steve Sarkisian came in. That's why they were scoring 40, 50 points per ball game. That's why we had crazy receivers, amazing quarterbacks. And not to say that we won't still get that talent, but Nick Saban wants to win football games the other way. And when he saw Georgia go back to back and dominate the way they did, and how Alabama wasn't keeping up with the other programs in certain areas, I'm convinced like he wanted to go back to this style of football because Georgia proved that you can still win championships today the way Alabama was doing it in 2011 and 12.
Yeah, no, great point. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how you won. It's just it matters that you did win. Yeah, and it's like, who cares about style points? You know, I mean, really, it's just you're allowed to play physical football. You win with physical football. Play physical football. If that's what it takes to win. And the fact that everyone's kind of gone the other direction. Georgia was that team. Now, they had enough offense. Don't get me wrong. Now, I don't know what they're going to do this year, but the last 2 years they had enough offense, but they relied on their defense. And they really took, like you said, they took the Nick Saban playbook. They took it to Athens, and they won back-to-back championships. And we had the most beautiful offense we've ever had. We had the best quarterback we might ever have. Yeah. We still didn't win it, And so it's interesting to see this team kind of transition back into this style where I remember, I'm going to use a baseball reference. and talk about Greg Maddux. I remember hanging out with Greg Maddux, and I learned so much about baseball being around Greg Maddux. And he's like talking to me about, earned runs and ERAs and all that stuff. And he's like, so if your team scores 6 runs, how many runs can you give up? And I'm like, well, 5. He's like, yeah. If your team scores 2, how many can you give up? Well, 1, right? And what his point was is that it doesn't matter as long as you have 1 more point than them, then you win. Yeah. And it's like, as long as you keep winning, then the rest of it will take care of itself. But this team, they've got to get on. Look, they got to be able to throw the ball better. Milrow's got to get rid of it if he's under pressure. But you know what? Play the game just to win. And I bet you that things will progress offensively as the season rolls.
Yeah, Chris Stewart actually said this after the Texas A&M broadcast last year. I think he phrased it as, they don't ask you how, they just ask you how many.
Yeah, right.
And that's all they ask for. Like, nobody goes back and says, oh, 1-loss SEC champion Alabama didn't win the way we like people to win, so therefore they're out of the playoff. Okay, like it is. It's just win the game, and it kind of takes care of itself at that point. So that's just it. And also, you remember how other teams would play Alabama in the past, and by the middle of the third quarter, that's when Alabama would kind of impose their will.
No, hold on, right there. Just hold on, Chad. Just hold your thought. I just want to tell you what Alabama used to do. Alabama used to make their ass quit. All right, pick it up.
Very true. But that's what they would do is third quarter, right? That's when you would start to see the separation, because that's when you saw just the strength and the brutality and the physicalness that Alabama would play. That's when it would kind of come to light, is in that third quarter, usually middle of the third. And then all of a sudden it's like, holy hell, how did Alabama get up by 4 touchdowns?
Right.
And what was the one thing Nick Saban would say early on? He said, when you look up when you're on the road and you look up in the stands and there's nobody left, it's the earmark of an ass whipping. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what he would talk about.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You want to know what an ass whipping is? Well, look up in the stands when you're on the road in the fourth quarter and see nobody sitting there. And that's what happened tonight in Starkville.
Yeah. I loved it, though, when the guy was like, well, Alabama intercepted the ball and the stadium's emptying out. And I was like, I know it's only 1 game, but we didn't have any of these last year.
Let me go back to that real quick. I meant to
When's the
address
last time we had one of these? 2022, right? It would have probably been the last time we were there.
Yeah, I just on the announcer piece, Mark Jones and Rod Gilmore are absolutely the worst 2 announcers that there have ever been.
It's like little leaguers. We got the little league team.
We did. They're usually doing Arizona State against Washington State at 9 p.m. on ESPN. somehow they ended up in Starkville.
Thank God we didn't have Beth Mowens, though.
Yeah,
at least we didn't have to turn the sound off.
But it was still bad. But they didn't know what to talk about. You could just tell that they were not accustomed to the southeastern part of the country, because they wouldn't shut up about the cowbells. They wouldn't shut up about the noise and being rattled and all these things. It's like, you guys are idiots.
He watched the game muted. I don't blame you, man. Like, I've got a bunch of TVs going, and there just comes a point with some of these announcers where it's like, I may just watch the Alabama game and listen to the sound from another game. I don't know, but you're right. Last week was the ABC game against Florida, South Florida was, oh God, it was bad.
Yeah, I'm just not a huge RG3 fan on the announcing, because I feel like he's a little bit of a Gary Danielson, where he tries to force drama and he tries to like come up with these cliches or taglines or be kind of goofy. Not my style. I enjoy the Sean McDonoughs or the Herb Streets. Or,
what about Keith Jackson, Ron Franklin? Remember those guys?
Amazing.
They're dead now.
I'll pass on Mike Patrick, who talked about Britney Spears, but
Brett
but the
Musburger was
others are great.
awesome.
Brett was great.
I love Brett. Brett
didn't-
Musburger.
He kind of got screwed by Fowler, didn't he?
I know. Yeah, you're a big, but I mean, you're a big Gary Danielson guy, and so I don't want to bring that up here. And I know you like Gary.
Mick's starting shit again. This is
we
where
can't
rumors
win
get
though.
started.
Even without Gary, we still can't win. You know, it's like
we'll see what happens when ABC takes over. But yeah. Gary's brutal. That's
Iceman says
part.
this. I do like I do like Gus. I like Joel. I think I like Gus's energy, man. He's outside of the box. You know, he
just kind of yells at you, but I'm okay with it.
But that's what it's like when you're at the game, you know, like it's like when you're sitting there listening to Gary Danielson, you're not sitting there going, you know what, I would love to hang out with this guy and have a beer. You're thinking like, this is the guy that is like talking at the corner of the bar, and I'm getting out of here because I don't want to sit here and listen to this guy anymore.
Yeah, and I think Joel Klatt's really good. Yeah, I do like Joel Klatt quite a bit.
I do too. Zach says
you're probably a Danny Cannell guy, aren't you?
I don't even. You know what? To be honest with you, I don't even know what Danny sounds like. I don't remember listening to him, but he said that Zach says he listens with the Crimson Tide Sports Network up. Yeah, I'm sure. I didn't do that today, but I love listening to Chris Stewart. So I probably should have done that. I just had too many devices going on, man. I got like 4 games on one TV that are in the split screen, and then I got the other game on, and then I'm like kind of doing other stuff. So I didn't do that, but I don't know. Like, I'm sure if I was doing play-by-play, people would be complaining about me too. So it's a tough job. But I really feel like the network executives are so worried about finding someone vanilla to do it, checking boxes. And, hey, someone that's really vanilla means that they're boring, And so what you're going to get is you're either going to get nepotism or you're going to get somebody that's boring. Or you're checking boxes. None of that is, I want someone entertaining, like you said, Gus is, and Gus is entertaining, right?
Yeah.
I wish there were more guys like that.
I will say ESPN does some smart things like having the alternate feed so that Pat McAfee and his guys.
Yeah, he's great.
You know when McAfee and his crew do the game from the sidelines, stuff like that's fantastic. And
the Manning cast. It's great.
Exactly. That's awesome. And I understand that'll probably never be the mainstream channel, but those are the things that I really enjoy. Because it's a different perspective. It doesn't feel as stuffy. It's more entertaining. It's more hanging out in the man cave, drinking beer, talking about football. It's so much better.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines again. We're talking about Bama's win over Mississippi State and whatever else you want to talk about. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hi there. This is Grace. I'm from Georgia. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Grace. So is Chad. How are you doing?
Excellent. I'm awesome. So I'm calling because actually my boyfriend calls in a lot. And it's funny because lately you all have him having Yingling instead of our usual Budweiser and Bud Light. Because apparently there's this claim that it's low carb. Well, I've always been a fan of Yingling, but I just think it's hilarious that you influenced him on that a little bit. So,
well, you made my day, Grace. I'm going to tell you that. It's Yingling Flight, though. The beer that you want to get with the low carb Yingling is Yingling Flight, and I'm just glad you said that because that means and you have to like the original Yingling too and the Hershey Porter and all that. But Flight's the one that it's kind of like their version of Mick Ultra. It's just a little better.
Look, I always liked the taste of Yingling, but regardless, okay. He doesn't really know I'm calling, so he's probably listening right now and he's going to find out as the feed comes up, but
he found out.
I'm also wondering, let's see, do you think that Reese is a good for play calls?
I Look, I know that we're going to be, and that's another great question, Grace. And this is the best call I've gotten since I've started my own channel. And the one before that was when I got a call from Bryce Young's aunt one time, on a post-game show. So this was one I'm going to remember because I'm trying to tell you guys to try Yingling Flight. It's a great beer, but all the Yinglings are, and they're very proud American company. And then Cheryl went to school with us at Alabama. So, that's pretty neat too.
So
but
Alabama is my alma mater. So.
Yeah, Roll Tide. I'm gonna tell you my thoughts, and then for you to hear Chad, you're gonna hang up and listen to Chad's thoughts on Tommy Rees. I think today, I liked what I saw. I think that the 3 tight end set was good. The running game was good. I thought there was some creativity there that I wanted to see. I feel like that he's definitely a little bit handcuffed with where Milroe is as far as his ability to read defenses and be able to do progressions where, I feel like with Milroe, 1-2 run, don't sit back there and try to figure it all out. 1-2 run or 1-2 throw it away. And we haven't gotten to the 1-2 throw it away yet, but we're 1-2 run. And then he's, when he does that, then good things happen or nothing happens, but nothing bad happens. But he gets sacked a lot because, there's a lot of times back there where I don't know that he knows what to do. But with that said, I mean, I don't know. I thought the last 2 games, I mean, I can't really complain with where this offense is going.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Grace. Roll Tide and keep drinking that Yingling. Chad?
Now, but here's what Mick does before we get into Tommy Rees. Mick now just drinks more Yingling Flights, so it makes up with the carb difference. So he's a net zero on the effect. You can't drink twice.
They're
as
selling.
many,
So they sell like it's honestly you got to kind of shop around for them right now because people like the secret's out. You know what I mean? Like you just can't go everywhere and get them because everybody's buying them up. But they're
it's good, man. It's good.
It's
stuff.
just it's good to drink a beer where you feel like it's a company that has like kind of something in common with you, and you know Chad. I mean you know Cheryl. I mean
I know Cheryl. I've hung out with Cheryl a lot.
Yeah, tailgated with her on many occasions.
Absolutely.
So,
well, on Rees, like I was saying early on in the show, for me, jury is just still out. There could be some things that are better, but I try not to jump to conclusions just yet because, again, he's given or has been given a group of players that are simply not quarterbacked by Bryce Young or Mac Jones. He doesn't have Jerry Jeudy. He doesn't have John Mechie. He doesn't have Jameson Williams.
Yeah, it's like when I'm in here talking to Jake Coker on the Elephant in the Room podcast, and he's like, and I just threw it to Amari Cooper.
yeah. I mean,
okay.
like literally think about it. Devontae Smith is like one of the smallest, skinniest receivers in the history of Alabama. Same with Jalen Waddle, but they're just so elite and elusive and good at route running.
Right. And don't drop anything.
Yeah. Don't drop anything. They make plays. They are him, Mick. Those guys are him. And we don't have that right now. And so it's kind of hard to be pissed off at Tommy Rees. Now, the only thing I'm genuinely mad about right now, 5 games into the season, is I was promised that this offensive line was going to be old school Alabama offensive line.
Road grader.
We were told, Mick, that they were going to hand out medicine this year. Like
telling me what did I used to yell at football games?
Also, give them some of the elixir.
I used to yell that, give them the medicine, give them the elixir.
Yeah.
When we used to run over people in 2009 en route to that championship.
It would be 18 play drives with only 2 passes. And that's what Alabama would do. And we were promised that. And so far, Proctor looks more like a matador at left tackle than an actual left tackle. It's so frustrating.
I'm so
because,
sick of everyone telling me how great he is. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I know he's got talent, but you're
Well,
right. I mean,
if he is, I feel like we're watching an episode of Scooby-Doo, and Fred's got to take the mask off to see who's really in the jersey. Like, that's what it feels like, man. He just, you watch it and you just think this isn't real. But
people might not even know who Fred is. But look, Frank's on here, Chad, with a comment. He said, you won't like this O versus Texas A&M. And you could be, Frank,
right.
You might be exactly right. I mean, that's exactly what could happen. But I did watch a football game today where the team that Alabama absolutely dominated defensively and Ole Miss went up and down the field on LSU and actually beat them. And
I wanted to ask you that, Mick.
Yeah. But he may be right. He could get sacked 10 times. I mean, who knows?
Okay, so in the last 2 weeks, is LSU's defense that bad or is Alabama's defense that good?
I think that
the last 2 weeks.
I think Bama's defense is good. I do. I really do. I mean, there's mistakes that are being made, but even the defense in 2009 made mistakes. Even the defense that won in 2011 and then, shut out they shut out LSU in the bowl game, right? It was 21-0.
Yeah.
That defense grew into that. They weren't that at the beginning of the year, but the Dallas Turner and the guys are getting back there. Malachi Moore is like a hawk. I mean, whether he's in the secondary, but think about the run stop he made at the beginning of the game, man. He's just ran right by everybody and he just can read everything. He's got an eye for it. Kool-Aid. Downs is someone that, they try to go after him, but he's actually making plays. And, so I think that the defense is good, man.
I'll even give Terrion Arnold some credit.
Chris Braswell's pretty good player. Great. Yeah.
But the defense has been fantastic. So it's just going back the original. I think with Reese, I'm still okay giving him some time because I do love what he did at Notre Dame with running the ball and using the tight ends.
Yeah.
But it's the offensive line play that's really frustrating just because of how much these guys were touted in the offseason.
Well, but you can't beat that. Look, I get the pass blocking hasn't been great, but the run blocking, man, I mean, you got to give them credit for the run blocking. There were holes in there that we could have ran through tonight.
Yeah, for sure. But was it Frank who said that? Yeah, but Frank's not wrong. And next week, if the O-line isn't going to step up next week against A&M and protect Milroe a little bit, then you're going to have to see a lot of screens, a lot of stick routes, dig routes, quick hitters. You're going to have to see a lot of things, quick passes out to the side where you get people in space, let them make a play because we saw what happened with Texas and Texas A&M. They've got a good defense. So we'll see what happens next week, but that's something he's right. You're going to have to watch out for.
Yeah, no doubt. Moving into that, and we'll break that game down all week here on the Bama Tailgate show, and then we'll be back at the Floor Bama Friday night previewing things. And for those of you that come and hang out with us Friday night, just know that that's a radio show that we're putting on here for you guys a day early. So that airs across the state on Saturdays today. And then you guys get it's like the pre-recording of it. So there's commercials in there and stuff. But it's been so much fun putting that show together. And then, this is all kind of part of the channel too. We're still kind of growing into this thing and figuring out the direction that we want to take it. But I'll tell you this, Texas A&M's going to be a different challenge. But you know what? I'm not sure what to think, to be honest with you. But we'll start looking into that this week. They're not a bad team, but they've got problems too. They're playing with their backup quarterback. You just don't want mistakes being made by the offense that that take away from the defense's ability to try to win the football game by playing great defense. And a couple other things that we need to talk about. First off, I don't know why Jermaine Burton didn't play. Do you know why? Did Saban say anything about that? Okay, I don't know heard. That. Well, you text me, but I saw messages on here too. The other thing is that this team, for them to have success, they had to have a killer special teams, right? And the punts and the field goals are fantastic. And they had to have that. So I'm with you guys on that. The special teams have been great. And I feel like that's one of the reasons that Alabama's had success. I mean, Will Reichert might be the best kicker we've ever had.
Who was it that said it? Steve. Steve's so spot on. We're so spoiled by Will Reichert. What's he made now? 23, 24 field goals in a row. It's something absurd.
Yeah.
I was at the Arkansas game in 2006 where Lee Tiffin couldn't make anything.
No, yeah.
0. And so I was at that game, just missing extra points all afternoon.
Oh, he got spooked.
He did. Yeah.
His foot got spooked.
There were a lot of things.
That was terrible. I was at a wedding watching that game, like the reception, and I'm like, all they had to do was kick like one or two of those field goal extra points and they would have won. And they lost because of that.
Yeah, they definitely would have. But
those
special teams also Burnup has been fantastic. Remember how spoiled we were for a couple of years with J.K. Scott?
Yeah.
And literally at times he was the MVP because he could just flip the field on you. So we've kind of got that with Burnup as well. Like the guy's been really, really good at the punting position.
Yeah. Your friend Ben George always used to love J.K. Scott.
Love J.K. Scott.
When we used to host the pregame show together for Tide Radio.
He was pushing MVP for J.K. Scott. He wanted him to win the Heisman.
Yeah, he wanted to do a J.K. Scott update every show. here's a J. And then he went through a little bit of a foot slump, remember? And Ben dropped him. And then he came back and it came back strong. This team has to have that because it's field position with the defense. You can't turn the football over, which Alabama didn't. They didn't put the ball on the ground. They didn't throw interceptions, and they're ball hawks right now, man. You know,
this team is all about fundamentals.
Yes,
this team is what Iowa wants to be.
Yeah.
Okay, fundamental football, pound the rock, play good defense, play field position, do all those things. But Alabama's got the athletes to pull it off. It's just, I think we're all on edge because we're looking around going, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback, receivers unproven. We're just all on edge because we have unproven talent. It's not that we don't have great talent. We just have unproven talent. And that's what everybody's so nervous about.
Right. And guys that are trying to mesh together and become a team. All right. This is the last thing that we're going to get into. And then you and I will just give our players of the game and kind of wrap things up. But Corey says they need to fix the snaps to the quarterback. I don't understand why in the world these guys can't get this figured out. It's unbelievable. Every single game, there's an issue with the snaps. And I don't even know that the one today was, it hit him right in the chest, but he wasn't ready for it yet. Yeah. I didn't notice it in the second half of this game, though. Did you?
No, it was only early.
It was that
because
early.
that's when Saban was chewing everybody out and talking about shutting the front door.
Right.
And and it was just early on, but they did snap out of that pretty quick because I remember thinking that when it happened early in the game, Milroe didn't play at all at South Florida.
Right.
Not that South Florida is intimidating, but the point is he didn't play on the road. And so today was his first actual road start.
Right.
Because against Arkansas last year, he just came in.
Right.
So
and I thought he started it, but you're right.
Yeah, this is the first time he started on the road. So when that happened early, I thought, oh, Jesus, here we go. Like, same thing, like, why are we dealing with this? This is such a basic fundamental. But we never saw it again. It's like Saban snapping and popping that vein is all everybody had to see.
All right, let's pick our players of the game. Who do you got?
It was such a team game. I mean, that sounds so cliche, but it was.
You want me to go first? You want me to go first?
You can.
Because I got a guy.
Stats, but
no,
go ahead.
Jaheed Campbell, 14 total tackles, a half a sack. The guy's in there playing in a spot where, he was the backup. Now he's starting. And between him and Caleb Downs, those guys tackled 27 state players in this football game. That is super impressive there. I had to give it to a defensive guy, but Jaheed Campbell and we were wondering, what was it going to look like? We lost our linebacker last week. The guy's calling all the plays, but Jaheed Campbell stepped up and got the job done.
If the game was closer, I'd go with Reichard, but none of his field goals were really pressure kicks, but they were all perfect.
Right.
And I just love Will Reichard. I also love it when you see the highlight of him doing the Crimson Crane against Auburn in 2021.
Right.
I'm still, I'm going to go Jace. And Jace didn't have the biggest stats, but Jace, to me, was kind of setting the tone early with some of his runs. He ran hard. He found creases. He controlled the offense when it was early and when Milroe wasn't settled in yet. He also had 6 carries for 32 yards on that touchdown drive that kind of got Alabama started.
Right.
So for me in this game, it's not that Jace stood out. I'm just more appreciative of what happened in the first quarter with him and early on. But you could have also gone Malachi Moore. You talked about
you could go Malachi every week.
Yeah, I mean the guy. He had what, 6 tackles today. 2 were solo, but kind of setting the tone early on defense. Marshall had 1.5 sacks. He was the sack leader, and then Braswell had the pick 6.
Right.
There were a few guys you could have gone with, but I'll take Jace on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on there. I mean, but I just, like I said, with Deontay Lawson going down, it was just so great to see Jaheed Campbell kind of just get in there and get the job done. And we saw some Trez Marshall in this game.
Yeah.
The defense is just getting better and better. And, the whole thing's going to be just if you're the offense, just try to put yourself in position and hit some deep balls, run the football, let those guys get a breath, which is something else that the offense did that was really good today. Against Texas, it was like we just didn't have an identity. And we're establishing an identity now. And part of that identity is that the offense is helping the defense just by, holding the football and pounding and, using the clock and all of that stuff. So, I'm not going to look at a win, Chad, and go, well, this one wasn't a good win. I mean, this felt like an Alabama.
No, this was a great win.
Yeah.
This was a great win. I was watching the game with my son, and he was like, why are you not yelling more? Because I usually get kind of fired up during these things. And yeah, a little bit here and there. And I told him, I said, well, I kind of have the expectation to beat Mississippi State. But I was still yelling because I was telling him, I was like, man, these guys are just playing some sound football. After those first, possession or 2?
Yeah.
That was a sound football game. So I really enjoyed tonight's game. I love good old-fashioned, boring Alabama wins by 20+ points.
Me too. I want Alabama to fly under the radar a little bit for once and sneak up on everyone. And then and like we used to do. And then they're going to be like, well, there's no chance Alabama could beat Michigan. There's no chance they're going to beat Georgia. And then they go in there and just smother them like they did Miami in 92,
Yeah,
which is great defense and fundamental football.
I want the Python The anaconda grip, man. Just the slow boa constrictor, baby. Just put them to sleep.
All right.
The best.
Well, this was fun, man. Any final thoughts?
No, good win. Got out of September 4-1. Texas appears to be a really, really good football team. We'll find out more with them in Oklahoma next week. The conference doesn't look very strong.
No.
So Alabama's got a good path. You can't be upset with the path that they have. October's here. The defense looks good. You've made the decision on quarterback. He at least looks above average and can improve and has room to grow. So I know everybody was melting down 3 weeks ago, but after tonight, I'd say Bama's in a good spot. They're perfectly set up to do the run if they're going to do it.
Yeah. Look, I just think like I'm taking it game by game. And this isn't an Alabama football team where I'm just comfortable saying that they're going to beat the crap out of everybody. College football is really not like that anymore with the transfer portal and NIL. And you heard Nick Saban talk about that this week. The NIL wasn't supposed to be this, but it is this. We're basically, it's professional sports, and you're not going to be able to, without rules, dictate where someone goes and plays, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. But the days of any of these teams being so dominant, like we've seen Alabama over the years, is gone. And what Nick Saban's trying to do is still develop talent, teach these guys how to play, and hopefully keep them on the roster where they're not bouncing all over the place. But I think that's going to be tough, and for Alabama, they're going to have to get in that transfer portal like everyone else. But but it was a good win today. I'll take it.
They did for Tyler Buckner, man.
That I don't count that, man. He's got to get right back in the portal. He needs to go get right back in the portal and find somewhere where he's going to play, because he'll never play at Alabama again. But
no, he's done.
He's done. Anyway, guys, the other thing I want to tell you about is that you can get buy one, get one free 2024 Daniel Moore Crimson and White calendars. It's the Daniel Moore print, and they're in the calendars. So it's a great gift, like you get two of them. So, maybe you got one person over here and then you want to keep one for yourself. Hey, I'm not judging. Or maybe you just want to give out two gifts. Maybe you want two for yourself. But if you use our code Bama Tailgate, it's buy one, get one free on the 2024 Crimson and White calendars. And they're pretty cool. And I'm going to give away, and I know some of you guys were asking me this, and I don't know why I'm even telling you now, because a lot of people probably aren't up with us, middle of the night here. But we're going to do a something really cool to give away the Daniel Moore print for getting over 1,000 subscribers. So I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but we're going to dwindle it down to probably like 100 people. And then we're going to do something on here, like a contest with everyone's name in a hat kind of, and the winner is going to win. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. So that's all coming up. And then I'll be back on the channel. Chad will be on helping us out this week. We'll start breaking down Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M, which has become a pretty big rival for Alabama, and another tough game on the road, but a lot tougher than this one. All right, for Chad Anderson, I'm Mick Gillispie. Thank you guys for hanging out. And, of course, I'm going to say it again. Share, tell your friends about it. Please like and subscribe, be part of the channel. It's been a lot of fun seeing all the views that we're getting and being part of this community. And I just hope that we continue to grow it, because you guys have made this really awesome. So roll Tide.